Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I am excited to welcome you to this fantastic event and how Google for Education can empower primary teachers along there. This event is hosted by Happy2House. Happy2House provides EdTech support and training on how to use technology more effectively in your institution and in your classroom. They also provide additional creative services. Do please check out their websites. We have an exciting lineup for you today. You will hear hints and tips from educators and how Google for Education has elevated teaching and learning and assessment, but also reducing workload. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our speakers. Now, my name is Conrad Taylor, and I will be your host for today. But more so, it's not about me, it's about our lovely speakers and all the hints and tips that they will be giving you. So, these are our speakers for today. We have the lovely Dee, who will actually be Let's Jam with Jamboard, giving you all the hints and tips on how Jamboard could elevate your teaching and learning. We move on to Nardia. Nardia was going to be rocking your classroom with Google Classroom. And our last speaker will be Sonia, who will be looking at Google Sites to take your learning beyond the classroom. Without further ado, let's start with our first speaker. So I'm going to start off with Dee in this case. So let's bring Dee onto the stage. Hello, Dee.
Hi, Conrad.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. So Dee, what we're going to do, we are going to take you on to the stage, and on here, you're going to tell us all about Jamboard in this case.
Okay.
Thank you, Dee. It's all over to you.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name's Wakego Di Faduhunsi. I'm a primary school teacher. I'm also a Google certified trainer. I've been teaching for 10 years, and I've been using Google Workspace for Education, formerly known as G Suite, since it was introduced into my school in 2017. Today, I'm going to be going through a session with you called Let's Jam with Google Jamboard. So Jamboard is totally free and is a whiteboard tool for synchronous instructions. Students can get their own copies of Jamboards through the Google Classroom. So my agenda for today, before I go through the full agenda, I'm just going to go a little bit over Jamboard. So Jamboard is a digital interactive whiteboard that creates a learning environment that can allow you and your students to collaborate. Jamboard for Teaching is a great way to get your students actively involved. Have you ever wanted to create a central resource bank for your pupils and parents? Well, today I'm going to be going through how to use Jamboard. I'm going to show you my pockets of resources, so Jamboard resources that I use with my classroom. And if there's time, we can go through creating our own Jamboard. So let's start on how to use Jamboard. So once you're in the Google browser, in the top right-hand corner, you will see what we call our waffle, which is where you find all your Google apps. If you click on it and scroll down, you will find the Jamboard icon. And once you click on that, you should be able to access Jamboard. You will need a Google login. And also it is a case of you can get Jamboard by just typing in jamboard.google.com. So to create a new Jamboard, at the bottom right-hand corner, you will see a plus icon. What you can see on the screen in front of you are a list of just my recent jams that come up as well. So if you were to click on create a new Jamboard, you will open a brand new Jamboard for you to get the learning kicking. So here we have in front of us an image or a screenshot of what a Jamboard looks like. So some of you may be following along. Some of you may have to watch this back just to see how to actually set up a Jamboard. And as I said to you earlier, if there's time later, we will go through creating a Jamboard. So in front of you, we have what looks like, well, what is a Jamboard when we first open it up. The first thing you will want to do is click on where it says Untitled Jam. You'd want to name your Jamboard. By naming your Jamboard, you're able to locate it once it goes into your drive, and it's easy to find. What we then have are our tools on the left. So we have the draw icon, and within that you have your pen, your highlighter. You can also change the colors of those as well. We have our eraser. What would we do without an eraser? You also have your select icon, which sort of helps you select what you need to select on the screen. Our sticky note, which is our favorite, clicking on a sticky note to put notes on your Jamboard. We can add images. To add images, you can add image from your drive or upload from your computer. You can also search the web. You can search Google and insert an image directly. I will model this to you as we go through. We can also click the icon for some shapes. There are different shapes that you can get there. There's a text box for you to type into and a laser pointer. I've also circled the bit at the top here for you to know what this is for. A Jamboard comes with 20 frames. So each frame can be allocated to a child if you wanted to. So that way you could work with 20 children or have the children work in pairs on a separate frame. Or it's a case of having a selection of different activities on one Jamboard. So treat the Jamboard as a book and all the frames are your pages. Okay, so let's move along. So now I'm going to move on to my next section. My next section is about resources, because I feel as a primary school teacher, you can show me how to use something, but I need to see how to actually use it within my classroom. So I'm going to show you resources that I've used with my children and sort of demonstrate how I've used it with them as well. So first of all, we're going to start with phonics. Do bear with me while the computer just loads. So here I have in front of you an example of a Jamboard that I've created. It's working with the sounds and t for the children to differentiate between those two sounds. So we have different images below of different items that the children can move into where that sound is. So for example, monkey with a the children will drag it across onto the mat. And then we have tree, which is a t sound, would be dragged into the t box. What I'd say is with this, you could actually create, as I said, frames of these for the children to practice in school and to practice at home. To differentiate, we can add images that do not fit into those sounds. So for example, to add an image, if you click on the icon, add image, and we can select Google Images. And I'm going to put in boot. We know it doesn't start with a sound, and it doesn't start with a t sound. So I'm going to put boot, and I'm going to type in clip art because I want something user-friendly for the children. So if I click on these pair of boots and click insert, that's an image that can be added to the images we have there, can reduce the size. So the children have to actually differentiate. So there's your differentiation. So you've got children looking at the sounds, dragging and dropping the images where they go, and you can add additional images to sort of let them really think about the sounds that come from those words. Another example of using it in phonics is when they're making up their CVC words. So what I've done here is an image here, and they're building their words they need to build words with the at words. So we've got mat, at. So I can take that away and they can have a look what other sounds could go in there. So they can put a B in there, but at for bat. So it's something that you can play around as a teacher at the front of the classroom, or even have the children practice this at home. It's a perfect tool to have as homework as well, because it can be shared on the Google Classroom for the children to practice their sounds and their word forming at home. Another example is sentence building. And this also, we're just moving in regards to the different stages of how we teach our children. So here we have a sentence that's been fragmented, split up into different parts, and there are words missing, and there are CVC words. So we've got dog and, well, we've got ball here and dog. So the children have got to rearrange it into the right order, and what they could then do, because I know we talk about handwritings, once they've got it in the right order and the spelling of dog, they can then actually write it on a sheet of paper. So we've got handwriting in there. They've arranged the words. They've thought about the sounds to form the image that's missing there, and they can then write it into their books. Another example as we move further on is for reading comprehension, or even just finding when we search within a text. So you can screenshot the text, place it on your Jamboard, use the highlighter. It says they use the highlighter to mark the sentences. So I'm going to click on pen, and I'm going to click on my highlighter, choose a color, and it says mark the sentence to show when someone's speaking. So we're looking for speech marks, quotation marks. So I will then highlight where the quotation marks are. These are just examples that I've used in my classroom. There are different things we can use with the Jamboard. We can set backgrounds, so we can change it to be dotted. We can have lines. We can have squared paper. You can even change the color of the background. You can actually upload an image to the background, and these are images that will not move. So for example, this image here can move, but if I was to set a background and browse the images again, and this time I'm going to search for space, I can find an image of space and set that as my background. So that cannot move. So we've got images that we can place on top, and we've got images that can be set as the background. So I'm just going to go through a couple more on English before I move on to maths. Here we have an image, and it says, what do you see? Use the pen or sticky notes to describe this picture. So the children could literally grab a sticky note, and they're differentiated. So you can maybe say to one group to use the green sticky notes, another group to use the blue, another to use the pink, and they type, what can they see? Children. Children in a theme park or on an amusement ride. Theme park, full stop. And you can hit save, the sticky note comes up on the screen. So the children can you can have, as I said, differentiated in color, so you can know which group has written what. You can further, through your questioning, you can determine what they put on there. And also, as I said, they can use the pen to write if they wanted to. So the pen, and can write on the Jamboard as well. Okay, so I'm now going to demonstrate to you how I use Jamboard in maths. Now, with maths, I think Jamboard is such an amazing tool to create resources that you can come back to time and time again. So here we have a math manipulatives where we can create, we've got a word problem. Alex has 12 cookies. She's going to share the 12 cookies with her 2 friends. So there's 3 of them. So I've set out 3 plates for the 12 for Alex and her 2 friends. In order for me to do that, I clicked on shape, and I took a circle from there to create my 3 circles, my 3 plates. What I also did was clicked on shape to create the cookies on this side, which you can then fill in with a color. But I thought children really understand word problems when it looks real. So why can't we actually have cookies? So there we go, add an image, Google Images, and I'm going to look for cookies. And I'm going to type clip art, because as I said, they're more child-friendly and more user-friendly. And I can find an image of a cookie. I'll use this one, insert. And there I have cookies that I could use in my maths problem. And now the children can take the cookies. First of all, they're going to need 12, and then they share it amongst the plate. And this is an example of a resource, as I said, that you can either share with the children or as a class can work through together. On the next frame, I've got an example of student banks. So we as primary school teachers are constantly cutting out paper and card to create money. I know we actually have plastic money as well in class, but this is straightforward, easy to use. Each child can have, if they've got Chromebook in front of them, they can work in pairs. So what I've done here is I can duplicate, and you can duplicate by right-clicking or clicking on the 3 dots on the side. I can duplicate these images of coins that I've got on here. So I'll duplicate just to make sure that I've got a bank of them ready. And it says there, show me 60p. So the children can have a play around with the coins in order for them to show 60p. And what you could do, as I said, if you gave each pair a frame, you can have a look to show their understanding. We can change the value. So you can then say, well, show me 90p or 90 pence. And the children can then have a look at the coins they have and swap them around to show that amount. Another example for maths is sorting of shapes. So you can give it a heading and the shapes can be sorted, and you can use the shape tool here, or you can upload images from Google. A brilliant way to do this is using it for pictograms and bar charts. So you could ask your children who likes winter. So let me just take that off. I need my select tool. There we go. So I can shift this along. So maybe one child has said they like winter, another one likes summer. Once you've created these resources, you can use them over and over again. So it will take you not a long time, but it does take time to create. But once they're created, you can use. And this has been created just by the shapes. So the boxes here were created from the shapes and they were filled in. And I used images from Google for my seasons of the year. And here's another one, a pictogram. So vanilla ice cream. So I keep forgetting to undo that one and clicking on my clicker tool. There we go. To create a pictogram, visually, this helps children with their understanding. And from this, you can ask questions as to whose favorite, which one is the most popular, which one's the least, what's the difference between the two. It's just a way to just add this resource into your classroom. There are plenty other examples as I go through: number line, arranging numbers on a number line. And these resources, some of them I've created instantly within a lesson. I needed a number line, I put a number line on. I had a circle for my jumping. I thought, oh, I've got little ones. How about a clip art of a frog showing it leaping along? Okay, so those are just a few examples. There are a few more, but I'm going to move on to interactive activities that can be done in the classroom. Just bear with me 1 second while that loads on. So there are different things you can do. So if you have these banks, you can use them again and again. What is one thing you've learned this week? A child chooses. So student one might change the name to their name and they'll write their answer. And you've preloaded this. So all they have to find is their student number and write their response. There's another example here of what's your favorite activity this week. So you just keep changing the question. The resource can be used again. Word searches, which is brilliant for spellings. So you've got word search, they've got to find the words, and they can use the highlighter or the pen to find the words. So for example, sleuth is down here. Take a while to find the others, but there are others there for you to have a look. Moving along, creating shapes or create a picture with shapes. So the children, you could actually get the children to do this. Say to them, can they create the same shape that you have on the screen? And they have to look at the shapes that they have and they can create it. So we've got a circle and we've got a triangle and another circle. Oops. And another circle. And then the children can learn into filling those circles. So that one needs to be a grey. And that one can be green. And there we go. So you can give them activities to actually show them how to really utilize the tools and also just to build their skills in regards to maths. There's thumbs up, thumbs down, different resources that we can use. Some most full, showing that they fully understand the task. Lots of different ways that Google Jamboard can be incorporated into the classroom. Okay, so I'm going to return to my presentation. So within my presentation, the next thing I wanted to talk about, well, I'm going to quickly show you a few more examples of Jamboard for English. So I've gone through this one, an image for description. We've got bat, but at. So these are just some more phonics examples. And also here is a couple more maths examples as well. With our 10 frame, if 3 and what makes 10, and they've got to move the blue across to show that. And then we've got 6 plus 2. The children can use the red to show the 6 and the blue to show the 2. So as I said, many different ways. Create your resources, have your banks, and then you can use them again and again and again. And some of these are things that I've created within my lesson. So I've just thought, I've got a question, how do I demonstrate this to the children? Put it on the Jamboard, and I send this on Google Classroom for them to use as homework. So here are galleries of Jamboards with adults. So I've just shown you the sort of resources I've used with children, but I'm also an RE leader in my school, a middle leader. So there are times that we have questions to go to the other teachers, to my colleagues, or even to governors. So things like curriculum review, what makes an effective curriculum, and the teachers have all collaborated and worked together in order for them to just expand, mind map, to think about their responses. So Jamboard can be used with adults as well. And here's another example. And this is an example of it being used in science within my class. So we're working on mini beasts, and this is a what do you know about mini beasts? Do apologize for the spellings, but we're talking about year 2 children here. They've tried. So we've got butterflies, and the children they had Chromebooks each and had to mind map by using a sticky notes what they knew about butterflies. And the butterfly, the bee, and the ladybird were images that were on the background of the Jamboard. So the children couldn't move it, but their sticky notes could go all over it. So this was a brilliant way of using it in the classroom. Another way is seeing if they're good, how they feel, the morning check-ins. Are you okay? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling bad? They just pick their names. So you can have their names already on Post-it notes, especially for the younger ones. They just take it and drag it along to where they think it fits. So I was thinking it would have enough time to create our own Jamboard. But as I said to you all, just browse to jamboard.google.com, click on the plus sign to make your own Jamboard. Always think about share it with me. My Twitter handle's on there. Let me see what you create with your Jamboards. Okay, I think I've come to the end of my presentation, and I wanted just to say, as I said, once you've created these, just say thank you. You just share it with me. Share it with me so that I can have a look as to what you've done with Jamboard. One thing I also wanted to say was if you needed any more support with Jamboard, the Google Teaching Center is available, and they've got lots of videos to help to support with your learning about Jamboard. So do go there, do have a look, have a click around, watch the videos. And if not, happy to host or myself. We're here to support your journey with Google. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Dee. That was fantastic.
My name is
Thank you. That was fantastic. I do love that idea in terms of the well-being check-in in this case. That's fantastic. Great tips and hints there for everyone. I've just got a few questions for you, basically. How do you introduce children to Jamboard in the first place? How do you get them engaged?
Initially, it would be from the front of the classroom. So before you can get them individually on there, it was a case of me at the front showing them how to use it, so demonstrating to them. Then it would be my turn, then our turn. So the Chromebooks would come out and we try it together, and then they learn to do it by themselves. And this is, I'm currently teaching year 2 children. Initially, they were a bit confused in regards to how to utilize it, but it was a case of once I modeled, good modeling does work. So modeled it to them in the classroom, showed them all the tools, and then it was a case of we did it together. So I'd model on the board and they'd all have a Chromebook, and then it was, okay, you can do it on your own. So now it's things that I set for them as homework. So when they go home, they're able to utilize the tool and create or respond to questions that's been set for them. I use it quite often, actually. We have a question of the week. So every Friday it's set up on there, and the children, their responses to the questions has been amazing.
Thank you very much. Another question, I got one more question for you. How does you use Jamboard? Because you've shown all those examples that you've done. Now, if you've done one Jamboard, does it help you reduce your planning time for future classes?
You have to remember that you have the Jamboard. So I think one tip I'd give teachers is your organization of your Google Drive. But what I'd say is once you've created it once, it's there for you to use again and again and again. So what you can do is if you're sharing with others, make sure they make copies of it so they don't change your original template. But that Jamboard is there once it's been created. So it saves time in the long run.
Thank you. And my final question is, are there any Jamboard templates out there to help tutors, teachers?
There are templates. As I said, if you'd like to send me, my Twitter handle's on there at @dubaka. I'm happy to share all the templates I've got on here. But there are templates out there if you just have a search. But Happy to Host will have a bank of templates to support any teachers on their journey.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that in this case. Just one more question, actually, just thinking there. Now, if you create a Jamboard, could I actually share that Jamboard with other teachers so they can actually use it also?
Yes, you can. You can share it with them so they can, it's a collaborative tool, just like most of or all of Google. So you can share it with teachers to work with it, work on the Jamboard, just like the children can work on the same Jamboard as you.
Brilliant. And thank you very much, Dee, for all those instant tips on using Jamboard. That was fantastic in this case. And you definitely jam with Jamboard in this case. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Conrad. Thank you.
I appreciate that. So let's move back on. So our next presenter is definitely going to rock us with Google Classroom. And this is something I'm looking forward to. So our next presenter is Nardia. So I'm going to bring Nardia on stage. Hello there, Nadia. Let's bring Dia up. Hello there, Nadia. How are you doing?
Hi.
Brilliant,
Hi.
brilliant. So what we're going to do today, you're going to tell us a lot about rocking the classroom with Google Classroom. Yeah?
Yes,
So
I am.
without further ado, I'm going to get you all started then.
Okay, so I'll just introduce myself. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nordia, and I have been a primary school teacher for over 13 years. Now, I've been using Google Classroom, or well, Google in a sense, for over 7 years now within my current school. I really do love all the Google tools, but I must say I adore Google Classroom because it enhances my day-to-day teaching and learning. I think it blends the classroom quite well together. And to be honest, I can't really see life without Google Classroom. It's like, where was I without it? Because it does such a good job. Okay, so as Conrad said, I'll be showing you how to rock your classroom with Google Classroom. And one of the reasons I have chosen to demonstrate this today is because, to be honest, in the past, I've been so fed up of hearing children say, I forgot my homework, miss. Oh, I left the copy at my grandma's. Oh, the cat weed on it and things like that. So because of Google Classroom, that cannot happen because Google Classroom has provided anytime access, anywhere, 24/7, 365 days of the year for children to, in a sense, to have learning and for teachers to carry on with their teaching. So definitely it is the way to go in this 21st century. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to just explain to you some of the reason I have chosen to demonstrate Google Classroom today. Google Classroom for me, it gives me that constant communication, okay, with students as well as parents, as well as other teachers, okay. It is my photocopier because it means I can duplicate copies, I can send 1 million copies without it costing anything and not wasting time. Okay, it's also my assessment tool. I can upload forms, I can do quizzes on Google Classroom, and it's totally embedded, so I'll get my results straight away, whether the children are at school or within the classroom or practically anywhere in the world, as long as they've got access to a computer or even to an iPhone or even to a phone or an iPad. Okay, it's my grade book. It keeps a running record of all assessment or tasks that the children have completed, which is absolutely brilliant. And then I've got the binders, which just bind everything together. It's in a sense, it's like an open book. You can keep everything together. Okay, and then I've got it's like a launch pad. So for any topic or areas that we're going to introduce, I can launch it in Google Classroom, whether the children are here or anywhere else, that we can use it as a launch pad. And it's definitely a meeting place. So it's good for collaboration. We can have our meetings and we can just, in a sense, communication is endless. So that's one of the reasons, or these are some of the reasons why I really do love Google Classroom, and can see how, just like it enhances my day-to-day teaching, it will do the same to you. Okay, so I am going to go over 5 top tips that you can use within the classroom to enhance the teaching and learning process. So the areas I'm going to cover is to show how you can send differentiated tasks, whether to individual or even to groups, and also how to reuse posts, so that will help you to save time. Okay, also how to assign different tasks within Google Classroom, and also how to give feedback, and not just general feedback, but giving personalized and meaningful feedback so that children can continue to make progress, whether they're in the classroom or anywhere else. And also how to improve those feedback by using an extension that runs or compatible with Google. Okay, so first thing, to create a classroom, okay, let me just jump out of my presentation for a minute so I can demo this. In terms of creating a classroom, okay, you can create a classroom by going to the Omnibox. Okay, hopefully you can see my Omnibox at the top screen, and you just simply need to type either Google Classroom there, okay, and Google Classroom will come up. Or you can go to my waffle, which you can see in the top right hand corner, and from there you can choose Google Classroom. I'm not sure why I've got a million mouses running over my screen, but I will just continue to demonstrate and hopefully just ignore those. Okay, so once you go to your screen, you look for Google Classroom, and when you open that, okay, which I assume that most of you are already using Google Classroom, okay, you select. For me, as you can see, I've got multiple classes at the moment. So I'm just going to choose my 6N class. From there, okay, I am going to show you, you've got the stream. If you look at all the many, drop the menu I've got at the top, you've got stream, you've got classroom, you've got people, and you've got grade. The two focus that we are going to mainly use today are the stream. The stream is for direct presentation, while classwork gives you added functionality. Okay, now looking at my stream, okay, I am going to click on my stream. For the stream, I'm not sure what's going on with my screen because I've got lots and lots of mouse pointers coming up on my screen, and I'm not sure what that is. But if you can try and ignore that with me, we'll see how we can get on. Okay, so if you go to your stream and you type a message there, which I've selected to type. Okay, so for example, I might want to type a message to say welcome. Okay, from here, type in this message to say welcome, and I might just want to post that to an individual child. If I go to post, okay, that will come out in the stream straight away. Okay, now I want to also show you that I can also demonstrate by going to classwork and send welcome just to an individual child or to a group of children. So if I click on classwork, okay, I will get a drop-down menu that says create. If I click on create, okay, you can see assignment at the top. I will select assignment for now. Okay, so this is a way of you differentiating your work. Okay, so I'm going to title this assignment, for example, English. Okay, just really slow, so I'm just waiting for that to come up. Okay, and then you can see in the next box, we've got instruction. So based on what instruction you want them to do, for example, write a letter. Sorry, this is really slow, so just waiting for that to load. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's just a bit slow, but just giving you a demonstration of how you can just quickly post an assignment. Okay, now if you move to the top right-hand corner, you will see 4. You've got 4. If I do a drop down, you can see that I can send this to all the classes I've got on Google Classroom. Okay, Because today I want to show you how I can send something to an individual child, I will ignore the classes and I will move over onto the right-hand tab, which says all students. If you click on the drop-down list that you've got there, okay, and wait for the children names to pop up, you will notice, okay, just waiting. I've got a message to say my internet is unresponsive, so just waiting for that to load. If I go to all students, as I said before, on your right, I'm able to click all students. I will untick the all students and I choose the name of the child that I want this message to go to.
Hello, Nadia. I think
Yeah.
well, if you just refresh your page, if you try refresh and start your presentation again. So far, I mean, Google Classroom is a fantastic tool in terms of differentiating which students, as Nadia was indicating there, that you could actually choose to show a variety of so that means you got one resource, you can actually post it out to multiple classes in this case, and this is where differentiation comes in greatly along the way there. Now Nadia is definitely going to, while it's going to run Nadia, obviously you've been using Google Classroom for a while now, and
Yes, I have.
and in terms of the differentiation that it supports, could you give us some idea while this page is loading?
Okay, so basically it's brilliant for differentiation because it means that sometimes, obviously in our class, as much as we would love it for it to be able that all our children will be working at the same level, it doesn't. In a normal world, that's not the case. So sometimes some children within your class might be working a little bit lower, or some might be working a bit higher, and you want to stretch them. So in terms of doing that, okay, you can send direct tasks or direct questions, in a sense, to stretch them a bit more by sending direct questions to individual students, or you might want to send it to a group of children. Okay, and so this is where Google Classroom allows you to do that, with which.
And how does it manage in terms of, is it a one-stop shop for you in terms of using Google Classroom? And can you use other third-party add-ons to enhance that teaching space?
Yes, you can definitely do that, which is something I was going to model later as well, in terms of giving feedback and other resources that you could actually use to enhance this process.
Yeah. I mean, Google Classroom in terms of assessing your students. How do you, I think probably because I definitely would like you to showcase some of the things that you're doing. So I don't know if you probably close your browser and then go back in. If I just, I'll just stop sharing you for a sec. And then we just leave there. So in the meantime, there, if you just close your browser and go back in. I mean,
Okay.
take for example, Nadia, I mean, it's a one-stop shop for everything, yeah? And
Yeah.
it does allow you to facilitate better collaboration and communication with students and staff in this case. Do you use your class with other teachers, or is it solo?
I do share my classroom with other teachers, and one of the main reasons for that is so that we can, in a sense, collaborate, and we can take in a sense, take off the workload of one person, so that, for example, I'm the maths lead, so I tend to do most of the maths preparation, while the other teacher, who is the English lead, she tends to do a lot of the English preparation, which does help and lighten the load in terms of planning. And a lot of the work that we've done as well, we can use them from year to year, and by reposting them, but maybe editing as well to personalize that learning.
Definitely. And how do you cope with going into different academic year with Google Classroom?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never actually deleted a classroom. I've archived my classroom so that sometimes I can remember, oh, actually, I've done a lesson like that before. Actually, I've set an assignment like that before, or set a task like that before. I can go back and, in a sense, grab that resource from that classroom and reuse it in another classroom.
Fantastic.
So that's another enhancement that Google Classroom gives.
Yeah, and do you find that your students access Google Classroom away from the classroom?
They do. I think as well, last year I taught year 2, and year 2, I was blown away by how many children were working so hard at home and develop their skills in terms of creating their own presentation, uploading videos, uploading images. They were absolutely brilliant. With year 6, they are on another level. They design their own videos, able to upload. Okay, the advancement is brilliant, and they continue to develop and build on that year on year on. And it means for them that the learning never stops, because sometimes we do a lot of videos for reinforcement, and it means that they can give me feedback, and sometimes, to be honest, they are ahead. They go ahead because the learning carries on with the videos and all the presentation that we post on there. They don't wait, they just keep going, keep learning. So the learning is quite blended in my classroom.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's just students being independent learning and going ahead. And that's good also that you posted resources ahead of time, where those students, in other words, you're not holding back any students. They can go on exploration learning for themselves in this case. I don't know if your screen are your screens okay now for me to put back on?
It seems I've got a lot of mouse pointers all over my screen, and I'm not sure what this is.
Yeah,
but
no
I think I might be able to present, it seems. Oh.
Yeah, I can bring back up your screen and see if that works for you in this case. If you would like me to try again. With your,
yes, please.
Okay, no problem. Oh, you still got as a mouse.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do, we'll discuss some of the benefits of Google Classroom along there while there, because you've still got a lot of mouse pointers clicking there, and I think that's what reducing your usage space along there. Now, in terms of Google Classroom, I mean, it's the same. As it reduces your workload, as a teacher, we know that we've got little time, basically.
Yes.
And having this product of Google Classroom, as it reduces your workload?
Definitely. And as I said to you before, that because I've been using Google Classroom for a few years, a lot of like the assignments, a lot of the homework, I don't always make them from scratch, because I just reuse a lot of the posts. Okay, by editing it, but still making it personalized, still personalizing it for my new class or my current class. Okay, and also sharing some of the resources, sharing good practice within the school as well. So getting other resources from other teachers as well, and in a sense, sharing within the planning. And because of this collaborative approach, it makes life a lot easier.
Brilliant. And obviously, the start of every, well, whether it's a new topic or just introducing the children to Google Classroom, what are some of the tips there that you go about in terms of getting students engaged in using Google Classroom?
Well, one thing we try to do a lot of is to, in a sense, do a bit of a launch. Okay, so that launch could be a video. It could be just a video presentation of myself, or something, a video that is suited for the topic that we're covering in Google Classroom, or even on YouTube. So we tend to push those out to the students so that they have a knowledge or an understanding. So if they wanted to do further research before they get to the lesson, then they can do that. And we also tend to make links also with Jamboard and some of the other resources that Google provide, so that the student can collaborate amongst themselves as well before they come to the classroom.
Brilliant. And obviously, Google has quite a few different applications to support teaching and learning. Do you use Google Classroom to integrate with those other products?
Yes, I do. So a lot of our products could be, a lot of the other links that we could do is from, as I said before, Jamboard, Docs, presentation, every single one of the Google tools we do, in a sense, because we're trying to build on the children knowledge. And we're in year 6. I'm quite aware that they're going to secondary school in a few weeks. So we want to make sure that they're secondary ready and future ready, in a sense. So we do, because Google, in a sense, is not going anywhere. Google is the future. So we want to make sure that they're ready for the future.
Brilliant. So obviously, by introducing your students to this space and all those tools that surround the Google for Education product, you're actually supporting developing those students' digital skills, basically, and become better digital
Exactly.
citizens.
And so we normally, as well, at the beginning of the year, we do the Google digital skills, the safety skills. We do that at the beginning of the year as well, just to get them ready and just to remind them how to be safe on the internet. Another thing that I love about Google is being able to embed those YouTube links. And so they're in a safe zone, so they don't have to go outside on YouTube itself, but still, in a sense, having that benefit of using Google Class, YouTube.
Yeah. Now, one of the benefits I know of using Google Classroom is obviously the feedback and the commenting in terms of
Yes.
that. Now, how do you find that, especially the comment bank? Could you tell me a bit about the comment
Okay,
bank?
so the comment bank is brilliant because it means that you can highlight a whole text, a word, a punctuation, and give the students comment based on what they've done within their task. Okay, you can also do an extension or download an extension called Moat. Okay, Moat provide verbal feedback. So sometimes it's not always easy to type exactly what you want the students to do, but once you're able to verbalize that with them, sometimes it's a better understanding, and they can also give you a verbal feedback based on their understanding or ask another question. So for me, it's their hands in hand. So Google provide that with the extension as well.
And that's great in terms of allowing you verbalizing your question, because what you're doing there is differentiating the way you feedback to student.
Exactly, and making it more personal.
It's definitely more personal, and a lot of students do want that. You know, it's feel like you're personalizing it to them and the way they talk.
And I
And I
think when they can hear your voice as well, they know exactly what you mean. And in a sense, because they can hear your voice, it makes it a bit more intimate. And so they know this is coming from someone who really knows me.
Yeah, and just to say for anyone, for all that's listening, in regards to Moat, that's an additional extension product that you can utilize to some extent for free. But there's also the commercial version of Moat also that will give you additional functionality for feedback. It just also elevate that teaching and learning a bit more with the verbal feedback along there. And do you see where Google Classroom, in terms of it allows you to do the feedback? It allows you, I'm trying to think here in terms of giving feedback. Can you do multiple feedbacks in one go?
Yes, you can, because I can also send a written feedback as well as a verbal feedback. Okay. As I said to you before, just like you would mark a piece of work on paper where you're able to highlight and say, for example, check this punctuation, you are able to do the same with a Google Doc or with any of the pieces of work that you're marking on Google Classroom.
Fantastic. And obviously, I know some teachers do use the stream for probably even praising students. Do you use it in that context as to give praise? So?
I do, because the stream is live, so it means that they'll get direct feedback there and then, but more in a sense for a whole class situation rather than individual.
Yeah.
But then it can be done for both, or even for a group. Okay, as
Brilliant.
long as you go to that select area, untick the students, select the students that you want, you can do the praise there, and that can also be done using Moat or written.
So would you say, and just to say for everyone, in Google Classroom, there's always the options that allow you to say you prevent students from actually commenting on the stream, or it's just, so would your recommendation be to allow that collaboration and knowing that?
I think you need a bit of both. There are times when you don't want the stream to be cluttered, and you want them to be able to find things easily and accessibly. Okay, so there are times when you can turn that off, where the student can only comment on pieces that you yourself have uploaded, or there are times when you want them to collaborate, so you can take that off. So it works both ways.
Brilliant. That is fantastic. And I know basically over the years, Google have actually listened to teachers and actually enhance the product of Google Classroom just by listening to the feedback of teachers. I mean, one of the fantastic thing also, I know you're going to demonstrate quite a few different ways as to how you can actually see the students grading. Now, the grade book that you can see at the top there, the grading, where you can see all students' work. Or do you find that basically?
I find it absolutely fantastic because when you go to classwork and you select that piece of work that you want to look at in terms of everything that they've submitted over the year, it's always so easy just to see their grades running across for every single piece of work that they've done. So straight away, you get a snapshot of those children who are making really good progress, those students that need to put a little bit more in, or those who are borderline and need to, in a sense, work. So I think being able to do that is absolutely fantastic. So the gradebook just shows it all.
Brilliant.
Okay, there's also another tool that you could use in terms of a Google featured tool, which is the rubric, which you can use in a sense. It's a bit like your success criteria. So you break it down based on, so the students know exactly what you're looking for in the work so they can try and hit those marks. And as soon as you're marking the piece of work based on the mark that is assessed against, it adds it all up for you and just embed that so you can see that as well as you're marking or within the grade book.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if you've used this feature, but obviously, just to say that with Google Classroom, you can invite guardians.
Yes, you can. So they too can have a bit of information. I did mention that at the beginning, that you can communicate not just with the students, but you can also communicate with their parents. So they too can be updated on everything that, in a sense, Google Classroom make it transparent and as transparent as you want the classroom to be.
Fantastic, fantastic. We are coming up to the end of this session there. So if you was to leave us with 2 tips in regards to using Google Classroom, what are 2 tips that you would highly recommend for everyone that's listening today?
I would say definitely don't get rid of your classroom when you create a classroom. You reuse your posts, but personalize them in order for you to constantly reusing it, so it takes off the workload. And I would say try not to be the only teacher in your classroom. Collaborate with other teachers so that, in a sense, the workload is lessened. Okay, because Google Classroom is a brilliant tool for blending both the traditional as well as the technical classroom together. Okay, so for me, it's absolutely brilliant as a launching pad for all your lessons and for reinforcement. It just keeps the learning going. So I would say a brilliant way to go, especially in this 21st century.
Now that is fantastic. And as I said, what you said earlier on about the blended bit in terms of allowing students to discover learning for themselves by you putting all those resources up there. That is what it's all about, basically. We're not holding back any students. We're giving them that freedom to actually explore the future learning that's ahead of them in this case. But I know we had a few technical issues, but thank you very much for actually holding the fort and actually doing and answering those questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Conrad. And as Conrad said at the beginning, I'm really sorry about that, but hopefully you can see some of the videos that I've posted as well on Google Classroom, how to use it and how to use some of these tools. Because I think another thing that was brilliant, which I didn't even mention today, is being able to schedule in multiple classrooms. That's another brilliant added tool that is really good. So it means that you can definitely post into other classrooms as well, just in one post. So thank you. And if obviously I didn't get a chance to present properly today, but the Google Teaching Center is a brilliant tool for supporting that learning process as well, of using any of the Google tools really. So unfortunately, just please go there, or just like Conrad said at the beginning, I've got a Twitter angle, which is at Nordia Noble. So go there and please send me any messages and I'll be happy to answer them as well, or on the Happy to Host website.
And that's it, everyone. What we're doing is we are facilitating collaborations. Therefore, if you want to find out more as to how Nadia has actually implemented and elevated her teaching and learning, please reach out to her on Twitter. She'll be more than happy to have a discussion with you and share and collaborate with some of those topics there. But thank you very much, Nadia. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much there. So going back now, we are going to move on to our final speaker, not the least. And this one is actually looking at Google Sites, which is taking learning beyond the classroom. And obviously, that is something that we do want to extend learning. It's not just about the physical wall or the building, it's about beyond. And my next speaker, which is Sonia Ma, will actually allow us and take us beyond the classroom using Google Classroom. So hello there, Sonia. How are you doing today?
Hi, Conrad. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. So today you're going to tell us all about Google Classroom, about Google Classroom.
Yes, we're looking at Google Sites
Sorry,
today.
Google Slides. It's my mistake.
That's okay.
All
Lots of
about Google
great.
Sites in this case. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put the screen on there. So thank you very much. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and I'll take myself.
Thank you, Conrad. Hi, everyone. My name's Sonia. I'm a head teacher and digital lead. I've been teaching in primary education for 12 years, and in the last 6.5 years as a senior leader. I'm Google Level 1 and 2 certified, and initially I started using Google in my school during the pandemic, like I think like a lot of us. But then I soon realised how effective it was in enhancing teaching and learning. And beyond COVID, as a leader, I really wanted to use Google tools both in our curriculum and also to embed them into our working practices. And I think I've just really seen how positive the impact has been using Google Workspace, not only on teaching and learning, but just generally in our day-to-day management of school. Um, and when I was asked to do this webinar, I thought, okay, I love Google, I love all Google tools, but I think for me, Google Sites is the one that generally people don't really know about, or they don't really use them in the school or in the classroom. So yeah, let's get started. So just quickly then, what we're going to cover today is I'm going to firstly go through a primary Google site and look at the benefits of using Google Sites with your children. And then I'm just going to break down 5 different steps that you could start to begin with to try and start building your site, and then hopefully finish with some other examples that we have used in our school where teachers have tried different things with Google Sites. Okay, so I'm just going to get started then by going through some of the benefits. So why would you use a Google site? There are so many reasons, but I think mainly for us it was to have a central resource hub. So somewhere where you could have all your resources that were in one place available to children, to parents, and also to other staff members. And yes, you can also do this in Google Classroom, but this did allow a way where you didn't need that login, and it could be accessed from anywhere, like all the Google tools, initially just like a website. What's great is that it integrates really well with other Google tools really easily. You can embed, you'll see in a little while, you can embed lots of different things into a Google site. Um, this was really key. It is really accessible for all ages. I mean, we had Google Sites being used for every classroom. So even from nursery, you can make your site as simple and as complicated as you want to be. So I think that's really, really important. Um, it does allow your pupils also to collaborate and for them to get involved and them to showcase. And again, you can also communicate with parents through a Google site. Um, and I think when teachers started to use a Google site, they realized that what was really key was that they didn't have to wait around for anyone. So if there was something they wanted to update on their site, they didn't have to wait for an admin. Like normally with your school website, if you wanted something put up, you might have to then contact your admin and then wait a little while for that to be put up. But in a sense, with a Google site, it was just as easy as going onto Classroom or onto Jamboard. You could straight away just upload something. And again, it's free to schools, and you'll see it's just really, really easy to use and to customize. So I'm just going to get started and take you through a demo. So when I first introduced Google Sites to our teachers, I created a little demo, and this was something I did just by experimenting and just exploring the Google site. And this took me maybe like, I think, an hour or so. And I created like a bit of a skeleton. So you can see here I've got a website, a Google site, and it's just a demo site that I made. And I've got an introduction. At the time, we had launched Google Classroom. So we've got the sign in there to Google. And as children were working at home at the time, we really needed to make sure they were being safe. So we had some videos about being safe online. We had a worry button so they can contact us if they needed anything, and just lots of different things you could have. If I keep going down, you can see we had a well-being section, and children could click on to different areas. And just like any other website, you'd have different tabs. So we've got a celebration area here, and the other tab, this has got some learning websites. So all the resources we were using, I think this bit was really key to make sure we could all go to the same place to log into different areas. And then we also had a parent and carer section, and that's just a simple form that I put on for teachers to take a look at. Right, so that was a demo that I shared with teachers. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly take you through 5 simple things that you could do to get started with a Google site. Now, there are 3 ways to set up your Google site, and you can do this like all the other Google tools. You could actually just go to Omnibox and you can type in sites.google.com. You could go to the waffle, look for the sites icon, or you could go to your Google Drive. And I'm going to start with today going to my Google Drive because I quite like doing it like that. And then I kind of know where it is. So just there, new Google site, and that will open up a site for you. So I'm keeping this quite simple today, and you can sort of see how you can then explore and take it further. What I'm quickly going to show you is if you do go to sites.google.com, which is the other way, one thing you are shown is you are given some examples. So when you come here to the home page on sites, you can either start with a blank, which is what I usually do, or there are examples. So you can click on class or club. So Google actually have some templates that you could begin with, which is great if you're just feeling a bit nervous about doing it. You just want to have a look at how you could get started. But like I said, I would have opened this. So I've opened this page up. I'm going to give it a title first, and I'm just going to call this demo class. And you can see over here, it also gives it a name. And what I really like to do is if you click on add logo, you can actually add your school's logo. So that will be up there as well. So it just gives it a nice little touch and title. So I'm going to continue to call this demo class. And if you just hover over, you can see this comes up. So you can actually change the image. You can upload an image that you have already. I'm just going to go to select image, and I think I'll pick that one. I think lots of you probably want to be more creative. And there you go, you've got a homepage. You've got a homepage for demo class, and you're starting to see what website could look like. So it's really, really easy. There's no HTML codes or anything. It's just literally, you can see what you're doing. And like a lot of all the other great tools on Google, you've got that undo button there. So if you do make a mistake, just press the undo button. Okay, so on the right here, you can see we've got this section where it kind of shows you how to start building your site. So you've got content blocks here, and this is really about the layout of your page. So feel free to explore when you have got some time, but I'm just going to click that one quickly, and that gives you like a skeleton for how you can start building. Or if I would click that one, give me another. And as you can see here, if you hover over them, you can get these little dots, and you can just click and you can swap things around. So it's really, really easy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to embed a video. And for the purpose of today, I am going to embed a video here, which is the Jungle Book. So there are different ways to do this. You can either look on the right. So if I click here, because I want it to go here, you can go to YouTube there, and you can click that. And you can type in for your video. I think I'm going to do, this is one I have looked at earlier, and I think I'm going to pick that one. And if you select that, and it's gone down here, but that's not a problem because I can just click and I can move it up there, as you can see, and it will go where I want it to go. And this is our assembly song, and I'm just going to put a quick note. Don't forget to learn our assembly Okay, so that's really easy way to put a video in. If you double click anywhere which hasn't got anything, you can see this sort of widget comes up. That's just a shortcut. So here you can click, you can add an image, you can upload something from the Google Drive or from your computer, or that's from Drive, that's from your computer. You can add some text or you can embed something. So as you can see, it's been it's really quick and easy to get that video put up. And I've just done this really simply, but when you really get into using Google Sites, you'll have lots of fun and you can really customize it, and move things around and make it look really nice. On the left here, you can see there's the paint sort of tool. You can click that. You can change colors. You can add sort of dividers between. You can see on the right here, you can add a divider. Between different sections, you can put titles, but like I said, I'm going to keep it simple, so I'm going to move on. The second thing we're going to do is set up some sort of communication. Now, we thought this was really important for our children to be able to communicate with us or just parents. So I've chosen just to show you how we put a worry button in. So the great thing is that you can easily integrate other tools. So over here, I want to put in an image. So if I just click there, and I'm going to get that from the drive. Sorry, not from Google Drive. Select image, there we go. And I would like to do a Google image search, and I would like to do a worried emoji. We use lots of emojis when we came online. That sort of really appealed to the children. So I'll pick that one and insert that there. Okay, now so you can play around with the sizing and the way it fits and everything, but I'm just going to leave that there for now. And over here, I want to make a button so it's easier for the children, so they can click on that button and they can actually be directed to the worry button. So as you can see on the right here, there's a button here. Okay, so if you click that, and that will give you somewhere where you can actually insert a link. So I'm going to call it worry button. And I need to put a link in here. So as I've prepared earlier, I do have a worry button Google form that I created, and that's in my Google Drive. So I'm quickly going to get the link for that. From here, I'm going to shorten it just because I always do. I just find it easier. And I'll go back here and I will put that link in there and press insert. And my button has just moved here, but like I said before, don't worry, you can just click and you can drag things to where you want them to go. Now I am going to change this color scheme back, and I'm going to move that worry button there. So as you can see, it's really easy to move things around, to have a good play around. And this bit here, I think I want to delete, but I am going to just write a little message here. Okay, so there's two things done already. We've embedded a video and we've also created a worry button for our pupils to contact us. Now, if during this, when you're playing around with your website, you'll probably want to see what it looks like. So this great button here at the top right, it says preview. If you click that, that will show you what this looks like if it was live. So you can see I've got my site here, I've got a video here, you can test it out. If I click the worry button, does it take me to the form I wanted it to go to? And yes, it does. And that's great. So I've checked that. So it's always good to try and keep checking, keep going to publish. And if you just look down here, you can click the X sign. I should have shown you there, but you can actually see what it would look like on an iPad or on a phone or on a desktop. So that's really useful as well. Okay, then moving on. Actually, before I do that, what I do want to show you, another way you could add contact, which you would have seen in my demo, is you can also put it in as a form. So let's just say I had another page and it was all for parents. I could actually add here a Google form for them to contact me, which they can directly fill in. So I've gone to forms on the right. There's a contact form that I created earlier. And you can see that is just then embedded on your site, and parents can contact you, or you could be doing a survey for your pupils. You can also put that in. So I think that's a really great feature that you can sort of embed onto your sites. Okay, I'm just going to quickly now go through adding an extra page. So like all websites, it's nice to have different sections and organize everything. So on the right hand side here, you can see it says pages. Now that's, if you click on pages, you can see at the moment we've just got home page. But if you go down to the bottom where it's got the plus symbol, you can click that and you can add a new page. So I might want to have a section called learning resources, which is where I want to put all my resources. I don't know about you, but in our school we have so many websites that the children use, and sometimes I think teachers are just getting, you know, sort of fed up of keep having to give out all the links to everything. But this is a great way to have them in the same place. So we've got a new page. So we've got home, we've got learning resources, and again you can go back to this and you can have a look at anything you want to put in. So I'm going to this time use that one. That's how I want it to look. And I should have shown you, but there is a section here called themes where you can experiment with different colors and themes and fonts and things. I think that's probably the fun bit, but I won't do that yet. So yeah, we're here now in learning resources, and I just want to put in a website that we use all the time, and I want the children to really easily be able to see, okay, that's the logo for this resource. I need to click here to get that. So I'm going to click over here and I'm going to select image from my drive. So in my drive, I should have Times Table Rockstars logo, which is something we all use all the time. And I want them to be able to, again, click a button. I just wanted to add, you can actually create the link here if you want to. So you don't even need a button. You could just have, if they click the logo, they go to the page. So if you see that inset link there, you could click that and you could put the link in there. But I'm going to add a button because you probably realize that I love buttons. So I'm going to add that in there, and I'm going to call this Times Table Rockstars. And I have this opened earlier. So here's the page I want them to go to, which I'm going to copy. I'm going to put that into there, and I'm going to insert that there. And again, it's all the way down there, but I want it to be here. But you can see when you click and drag, you can actually see there's a line that comes up. So that kind of will show you, give you an idea of where it will go. I can put that there. And again, I want to get rid of, actually, if I do that, I've deleted the whole thing. But remember, I can go and I can undo and I can try that again. So I want to just delete that. And that's another way, quick access. If you do click something, you can double click, you can get all your fonts and the sizing and everything over there. So that's just a way you can quickly add in resources. And again, let's just go back to check if that works. If I go to preview again, here we go, and I should be able to click that and check, and here we go, it's taken us to the TTRS login page. Great. Okay, just one last thing before I move on to some other resources of what you need to make sure you do so. I should click out of this. This is where you can, if you hover over it, it says it can show you what it will look like in a phone, on a tablet, and on a screen. So I'm going to X out of the preview, and let's just say I finished my website and I'm happy to go ahead and I want to share it with children. So you would need to go to this publish button here. Now there are a few ways you can share. So if I quickly click on that, the first thing you need to do is you need to create a web address. So it will be sites.google.com/, and this has given me demo class if I want to use it. But you might just want to call it, I don't know, I'm just going to call it Mrs. Megan's class, or oat class or cherry class or whatever you have. And if you look down here, it kind of shows you who you can publish a site to. Now this bit's really important. So you can see here it says anyone at Demo Workspace. So that's within my my domain. Well, actually, I want children to be able to access this from home. I want their parents to be able to log on to it. So I'm going to click Manage, and I should be given some options. So over here it says general access. At the moment, it's draft, and I want to keep that restricted because I just want myself to be able to see that. Or I can go to anyone with this link if I want to share it with a colleague, and I can give them a link and they can have a look at it. But this bit here, publish site, if you click down here, you've got a few options. Again, you can keep it restricted to yourself. You can keep it restricted to people within your organization, or public, which is the one I'm going to go for. So that means if I give them that site, it can be accessed, and I'm going to click done. And once I'm ready, I will click publish. And it's as simple as that, but my website has now been published, and I can share that link with others, um, whoever I would like to share that with. So I can actually copy the site link if you click by clicking there, that little link sign. And there it is. I've got the link I can copy and I can give it. Or you could give that to your IT admin at school, or whoever works with the website. They could put that link and embed it into your school website, which is what we've done. Right, so that was a very quick demo, quick and simple. But I'm just going to quickly come back to looking at how else could you use a Google site. So I've shown you a very simple way to get started, and some of you might have started doing this already. But some of the ways that we use this in our school is we looked at subject leaders, and subject leaders decided that they wanted to create sites where they could share subject specific resources for their subject, and they wanted to share it with learners across the school. So each subject leader created a website, and on there they had all great resources that they wanted children to access. It could be for gifted and talented pupils, it could just be for anyone. Um, Another way, which I think is really, really important, to start bringing the children into using Google Sites. And I know lots of schools that use Google Sites as part of their curriculum. Get your pupils to try and create their own sites for a piece of learning. They could do a showcase at the end. You could have a project where you break it up, and each child could have a tab, a different page, sorry, and they need to be responsible for that page. Or you could just create a site for your colleagues to access where they have learning resources that you might have created for them. I'm really quickly going to show you some examples where this has been done. So I can't take any credit for these. This is some of our great teachers. So our music teacher, he has created a lovely music website. You can see he's got lots of videos embedded here. He's got a form here, something to do with assembly, and he's got lots of pages. So he's actually broken it up into different levels and different key stages. So he's got something for the early years, key stage 1. Sorry, I've got a bit of a slow internet connection at the moment. So this way they can take their learning home, they can take singing home. And I know that parents really like this because they were able to practice all those songs with children in time for assembly practice. It was all in one place, and the teacher, you could easily adapt and add things to this. I think he's got something else here. So yeah, there's lots of lovely resources he's put here. You can make it as simple or as complicated as you like. And I'm just going to move on to another website, which was actually created for our parents. Now, this was a well-being site for parents to access, and I think later pupils could access it too. But here we've got lots of different information. This was our PSHE lead, who had lots of information on the 5 ways to well-being. There's a calendar here, and she's got different pages here, and this one's for parents. And you can see there's lots of great resources that parents had access, and it's just nice to have everything in that one, that one universal place. And Google Classroom, that also linked into our site as well. And actually, all of our resources were actually placed on our website. And slowly, teachers just started creating resources and sites, and they were available for people to use. And I just want to show you this page, the workshops page, because this was really, really useful. So all our events went up here, and you can see here there's a Google form. This was before Google Forms could actually be embedded and sort of stay on the page. But here we've got a nice workshop booking form, and that's a science one, the science lead, and I think she's got lots of websites here as well. So that has been yeah, so that sort of comes to the end of my session on Google Sites. I hope that's been useful, and I'd just like to open up to any questions. I think Conrad is going to jump in with some questions.
Thank you very much. That was well presented. I appreciate that. And all those instant tips, basically. I do have a few questions for you. Obviously, you demonstrated there that you could actually create a Google site and it gives you a web address that you can publish out. Are you saying then that once you create the Google site with that link, anyone with the link can access it?
Yes, so like I showed when we published, when I showed how to publish it, you can actually have that site available for anyone. So anyone with that link is able to see your website basically, or you can restrict that. You can restrict that to people within the organization. But I think it's really beneficial to have it open to the public, and then to have it, you might have a child who's on holiday somewhere, or they can't log in with their usual Google login, so they have to use their parents' computer, and they might not have a login. So I think it's important to make sure it's open and have it public.
Thank you. And would you say there's any consideration, because it's open to the public, would you say there's any consideration that needs to be added in terms of the students' photographs or anything like that?
Yes, so you obviously would have to follow your school's policies on, what you can have on your site. I know in our school, when some of our teachers like to showcase things for the parents, so they like to showcase when they had been on trips. So they would come back from a trip and they would put a image carousel on their website with pictures from the trips, but they would always go back and check which child has permission, and who's actually allowed to be on the site. And initially, it will take a bit of work to get your permission from parents, but for us it was the same as permission for a website, because it was going to be on a website, so it was quite easy to do. But yeah, you do have to look at who can be on there and who can't be on there.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much for that. And in terms of, I know you give us a few use cases there as to where, if you was saying to someone right now, in terms of how you could use Google Sites, could you just give us a couple of examples as to how you could use Google Sites, whether it be from the teacher side or whether it could be from the administrator side?
Yes, I mean, firstly, I think it is a great way to showcase resources and have them in one place. I mean, we got to a point where we were just handing out so many websites to children, different resources. There's so many great resources out there, but when you want them in one place, I think the site is a perfect place to do that. I also think using sites with children, because for me, the first time I actually introduced sites, I think the teachers, everyone's a bit, well, you want us to build a website, or we don't know how. We're not we're not website developers. But once they saw how easy it was to do, everyone loved it. I mean, it was like you just couldn't stop people. It became a bit of a competition, like, who's going to add what to the website. And then I think from then, teachers, they had the confidence and they realized, actually, if we can do that, we can show our children. Now, a really great way is if your children if they're coming to the end of a unit, let's say, they could all, you could put them into groups and say, right, you're going to be showcasing what you've learned, 6 of you in a group, there'll be 6 pages. One of you will do an introduction, let's say on the Romans. Another one of you might have a page on what the Romans used to eat. Another one might have something else, and so on. So yeah, I think those are the two sort of key ways. But also on a sort of school level, in terms of staff, I've seen it used really well for resources for staff. So colleagues sharing resources for each other's, subject leaders making things available for each other, and just sharing resources between the team. I think that's a really good way.
Brilliant. Thank you. I mean, it leads me nicely into my next question there, because obviously we had Google Classroom previously, and now we have Google Sites. So if a teacher was thinking, wow, these two products do allow me to actually showcase my work and distribute my work out there, would you say there's a big difference between the two, and which would you use for what?
Yeah, so initially, we introduced Google Classroom. Like I said, it was during a pandemic, and I'm sure everybody had this this sort of concern when it first came out, especially our early years and key stage one teachers. How are we going to use Google Classroom with the younger learners? And our older children picked it up really quickly. Younger learners did as well, but it just took a bit longer. But what guess they really liked with Google Sites is you could make it very visual and things would stay in place. So Google Classroom is fantastic, like Nordia explained earlier, to to have your assignments, to have them in order, to assess your pupils. But the great thing is that you can actually link that and you can actually bring that to your page. So there's no reason you can't use both. I would say that Google Site is sort of, for us, we use it as that's our base, and all our learning resources are on there, including Google Classroom. So I think I wouldn't choose one over the other. I think you could use them both together and they work really, really well. And like I said, you can embed forms into there. You can embed resources from your drive. You can put videos into that. I think they both work well together. And yeah, you can't really replace one with the other. But yeah, they're both excellent. So I would use both.
No, thank you very much for your clear and explanation and all those incentives. You can use Google Sites, whether it be for the teaching side or just for the administrative side. In this case, from a school level, it is fantastic, and I know it could be utilized. And just to say also, as you've said, you use forms in there. That with Google Sites, you can also do things like document embedded doc,
Yes.
and therefore once you updated the doc in one place, it does update it for the public who's viewing on the other side also. And it's the same if you've got a calendar for arranging
Yes.
parents meetings, you could embed that calendar on your sites, and then parents can actually book their
Yes.
parents evening from there. So there's, as you've highlighted here, there's many use case and there's many benefits to actually using these products in this case. So thank you very much. I do appreciate
That's okay. Conrad, actually, I must just, before we finish, just when you do add those things in, just make sure that those files, you have permission for people to access them, because we have been caught out in the past where we've put all these great like calendars on and documents, but then when we publish, people can't access them because they are restricted in our Google Drive. So you just have to play around a little bit with settings, but once you do, and you'll have a great time being
now.
creative.
And thank you very much. And that's a valid thing to say. Now, Google products do allow you to collaborate and have the permissions at granular level. But obviously, when you do ready to share things out there, do test it first to make sure that everything is acceptable on this side. But thank you very much for that, Sonia. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Conrad. And people can actually hit me up on Twitter if they want any support, any questions, anything. Please get in
Yes,
touch.
please do. Please do. Just like before, I said with all the presenters, if you do have any questions as to how they've used any of the tools that has been showcased today, please do hit them up on Twitter along there, and that would be fantastic for you to collaborate with them along there. So we're coming to the end of our webinar. Thank you, Sonia. There, we're coming to the end of our webinar, and I just would like to say, if you would like to keep in touch with us, which is happy to host, please do follow us on social media from any of those social media platform there. But today has been a fantastic session where all the incentives in actually showcasing what Google tool can do to elevate teaching and learning along there. And I just would like to say, as part of Happy to Host mission to elevate teaching and learning, we'll be doing a lot more of these short burst workshop going forward, basically. So half an hour workshops where we will try to give you instant tips of using the products of Google and other third-party tools to elevate teaching and learning of such. But thank you very much for your time. And we do appreciate your feedback. So on the screen there, if you could just take a note of that web address, and your feedback would be most welcome. And also, if you want us to focus on any topics or tool that you think we could discuss to elevate teaching and learning for yourself, please give us your feedback. That would be most grateful there for doing that. But as I say, do follow us on social media. for Happy to Host. And also do send us any ideas that you would like us to cover as part of any short webinar to show out EdTech tools, Google product can elevate teaching and learning along there. But overall, thank you very much for your time, and I do appreciate it. And most of all, thank you very much to all of our speakers for today. Thank you.